So we all know Samuel Jackson as he first appeared at the end of Iron Man and introduced us to a bigger world that was being built. While in Captain Marvel, we're going to see the character he becomes and why the idea is born. So let's talk about that. So recently Samuel Jackson wanted to specifically talk about the idea of who exactly he is when we catch up with the character. Now, of course, we know it's set in the early 90s. They're using de-aging technology, and it's going to be a very much different Nick Fury than what we're used to. And recently in an interview, Samuel Jackson wanted to specifically talk about the character's growth. Specifically the growth he's going to go through and what this means for him. And he says, more or less, when we catch up with him, he's a completely different character that gets exposed to something that's bigger than he ever thought possible. And it's up to him to try to convince others that there are legit threats out there, that things aren't as they seem, and that we need help. And it's going to kind of cross paths with Captain Marvel and other people within S.H.I.E.L.D., and things are going to kind of, I guess, go on from there, you know, to evolve into the Nick Fury that we know. Now, obviously, I think the one thing that everybody knows, it's got to happen at some point. He's got to lose his eye. And the Skrulls are involved, so I'm assuming it's going to somehow involve Nick Fury discovering the Skrull infiltration, which would honestly make some sense to me. And when you really start thinking about it that way, if that's the case, and as he says, he's trying to prevent a bigger war, I'm assuming that he's kind of understanding that there's a galactic war out there between these two species, the Skrulls and the Kree, that either way it shakes out, it's bad for humanity. Captain Marvel is in the center of it, something is happening, someone's probably being twisted, and things are kind of falling apart, that he wants an early proto-version of the Avengers, which is why he had the Avengers idea, but they never greenlit it. And I'm assuming we're going to see the early kind of, you know, I guess, stepping stone and stepping blocks of building the Avengers we know, but there's just not enough. And honestly, that kind of gets me excited, because if you really think about it, at that point, Ant-Man was still around. You know, you had him, but he had the falling out, of course. So it kind of gives you this idea that Nick Fury's maybe been trying to do this for a while, but the forces at work kept him away from it. And of course, the forces at work, we know, were Hydra. So it kind of makes you retroactively look at the MCU and wonder, what else is awesomely going to be retconned in there to make a little bit more, you know, additional, I guess, back history to the MCU.